Hi, so we're going to show you how to do vertex. You know who we are. We're the Jacobs Learning Group. We're going to show you vertex and what you guys have learned about a formula using H and K, and there's a way to determine which one's H and which one's K. But for right now, let's just go over a problem that is used in one of the algebra books used here in Broward County. Okay, so let's look at this. How does the graph of f of x equal x squared plus 2 compare to the graph of g of x equal to x squared plus 8? So here is your graph over here with the first graph. And your teachers probably taught you this was the original graph, or they call it the parent graph. And usually they consider the parent graph to be the larger one, which would be g of x equals h squared plus h. But for right now, I'm just going to say first graph so that we don't get anything confused, because a lot of your teachers may call it something different. Okay, so let's go x plus 2, x squared, excuse me, plus 2 is what y is. You know why? Because this is y, and this is your equals and your x and all that stuff. So x squared plus 2. Now we just went ahead and plotted points here. Why? Because when you figure this out, if you go over here, just like you see here, when you plug 0 into the equation of x and then you get plus 2, you get y equals 2. So you go 0, 2, that's your first point. Then x squared, when you're going to deal with it being 1, you're going to end up that y is going to equal 1 squared plus 2 is going to be 1 plus 2 equals 3. So that's your y value, and we did this here. Okay, so 2 of them I've checked with you. The rest of them you can verify on your own after you download this video. Okay, but if you're not downloading it, just look at what we do and think of it conceptually as what we're trying to teach you. Okay, so anyway, okay, it's going to move. This graph is going to move, and you guys should know right now this is positive. This is not negative x. This isn't negative x. So this is easier for you to just look at and see it's going to be positive in its movement. So it's going to go probably over and probably up. Okay, so you need to look at that. Why is it going to go up? Because 2 times 4 is 8. So now you're looking at how it's going to expand. You're going to think about it. And when you get into algebra 2, you actually are going to graph your quadratic equations and also your tertiary equations, where 2/3 is equal to 8. Okay, so these are your points here for that graph. Now let's go over and look at the second graph. Now when we go and graph the second graph, which is over here, I'm sorry. Okay, you have y equals x squared plus 8. So now you see that it's increased 4 times. And so you see it here, it's going upward. So a lot of people are inclined to think that this is going to be 2. And again, this is your g of x, where x squared plus 8 is your y value. And I went ahead and put that in there. But this g of x also means y. It's just a little side note. So when you're getting ready to do your graph and you're getting ready to move, you're looking at what it does. If you start at this 2 and you move, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That is 6 points. Well, you all call it units. 6 units up. Or most of your algebra teachers call it 6 units. So it's 6 units. And remember, it's positive. So it moves up 6 units. and it moves 2 over. Okay? All right. The graphs goes upward because F's constant is positive. That's all you need to know to move through this right now, because in the next graph we're going to get into exactly how you know, but also if you guys are doing slope and intercept, you learn that too. There's other to graphs. Okay, now here's just a review, quadratic formula, so we can move on. You know, your ax term, bx term plus c term, that's your constant, equals 0. Now, you're finding the axis of symmetry. A lot of teachers just say, okay, we're going to start at 0, 0, and a lot of people will teach you how to find. Let me just go over something very quickly. If you ever want to know what you're going to see an equation that's going to have h and k in it, this is your h value. Okay, this is what this is. Okay, and it tells you to look for h to x. Some people say look for h. This is standard in case you're not and you're just trying to do straight axis of symmetry. Okay, so it's negative b, let me re-emphasize that, over 2a. And I'm sorry if I'm doing such a bad job here of coloring this. So, you know, this is your b term, so obviously, and it's also negative. Okay, so if you were to go negative, negative 4, because it's minus here, so you put another minus here, so it's negative, negative 4 over 2, and your a term is 1 because that's assumed. Okay, so you have 2 times 1, negative, negative 4, 4 over 2 equals 2. And this is your h term. Your k term we'll deal with later. I'm leaving this here because usually when you're trying to do a vertex, they're labeled by h and k. And let me go on ahead and explain what's going on with h and k. H and k are another way of saying x and y. Okay, so that's just that little tidbit of information. Okay, so here's a problem. The graph of a function g of x is a parabola with a vertex located at 5 and 9. So they gave you your x and y values. I'm sorry, your h and k values, and also another way of x and y. So just write h and k. K in, like a lot of your equations, is meant a constant, but in this case it's x and y. And since I'm covering it, not doing such a good job, I'm just going to go on ahead because I have it here anyway. So, but that's your h and k. Okay, that's your vertex. So label that. The parabola passes through 7 and 1 and 3 and 1. Those are points. So if you're noticing anything, this is x and y, you're noticing that y stays the same, and guess what? Your graph is shifting. And which way is it shifting? Your second x value, it's decreasing. So you got to learn to think about this conceptually. Okay, so your problem tells you to use this formula, and it doesn't, people put standard y because you're looking for a value. Okay, it's looking for what is the equation. This is your equation, but how did we get here? Okay, that is going to be on the next slide after I show you this. You plugged in your values. Standard form here for your vertex is this. This is in your textbook somewhere, or it should be. If not, please, whatever you do, memorize this formula. A times x times negative k squared, all of this plus k. Okay, that's how you're going to find when they say what is the equation, if they tell you a line passes through. There's different ways to find out what an equation is, and they're asking for specific things, but this is how you know this. So you plug in these values. Your first value is 7. This is your x. Where are you getting your h? Over here, h and k. Okay, that's your h. And your k is here. Okay, so it now becomes what you're going to do over here is you're going to go 2 squared and you're going to get your answer. But let's do that. Here's something here. This is all the math done. 7 minus 5 is 2. This becomes 2 squared, which is 4. You have your PEMDAS rule, so you take the 9 over, and it's minus 9, which is negative 8, which now negative 8 is 4a. You have 1/4 times 4 over 1, the reciprocal. 1/4 is negative 2, it's a. So a is 2. So you go back and put a's value into the equation, and it's negative 2x minus 5 squared plus 5. These 2 points were given to you. All you had to do was solve for a. And that's how you do that. So we gave you a chance to look at it. Also, you can download this. Thank you for watching.